Good day, dear viewers. Today we will reveal one of the most mysterious and terrifying stories in the history of forensic science, the story of John Justin Bunting, a serial killer whose brutality and talent for manipulation left a mark in the memory, not only of the victims, but also of the entire society. John Justin Bunting was born in a small town in the north of England in 1980. His childhood was far from ideal, growing up in a family where there were constant quarrels and alcoholic debauchery. Bunting learned early to experience emotional pain. His parents often left him alone, and in these conditions the future killer began to form his passion for control and power. As a teenager, John began to show aggressive tendencies. His classmates mentioned how he often fought, and teachers noted that he had difficulty getting along with his peers. However, unlike many other teenagers, Bunting didn't just experience anger and resentment. He began to look for ways to transform these feelings into something more. In 2001, when John was only 21 years old, he committed his first attack. His victim was a young woman named Lindy, who stopped at a gas station to buy coffee. Bunting, having been watching her earlier, came over and offered to help. She did not suspect anything sinister, because he seemed like a polite young man. However, behind this benevolence lay a cruel purpose. Recalling the situation, Lindy said that John suddenly hit her on the head, after which he took her to the forest, where he caused serious injuries. This was the first step on his way to the brutal life of a serial killer. Linda managed to escape, but that was only the beginning. Over time, John Justin Bunting became increasingly aggressive. His experience excited him. He became obsessed with controlling others. Over the next few years, he killed several women. Each victim corresponded to a typical image: young women who did not suspect danger from an acquaintance. It was part of his manipulation game. Bunting presented himself as a friendly, cheerful, and charismatic young man. People loved him, but no one knew what was going on in his head. He entered the trust of women, and then simply destroyed them. Feeling absolute power over his victims, he took great pleasure in his cruelty. After several murders, the local police began to notice one strange circumstance: all the victims disappeared without a trace. The tracks led to Bunting, who looked suspicious, but no one could prove his guilt. However, his short-sightedness led to him leaving contact details with his victims, which became a stumbling block on his way to eternity. In 2005, based on new testimonies and evidence, the police were able to detain him. However, the column of testimony from witnesses and traces was not enough to prove him guilty of each of the crimes. This delayed the process for several years. The trial of John Bunting began in 2008. Sometimes it resembled a real theatrical performance. Witnesses, relatives of the victims came to the courtroom, and they all wanted justice. The consideration of the case caused a huge resonance in society. During the hearings, Bunting displayed complete indifference to the horrors he had committed. Witnesses told shocking stories, and forensics experts analyzed all the details of the case. Bunting was noted for his manipulativeness, trying to deceive everyone. But the fact remains, everything pointed to his guilt. In the end, the court found him guilty of several murders, and he received a life sentence without the right to parole. It seemed that justice had finally prevailed. But the question remained: how did it become possible, and why was it not stopped earlier? The story of John Justin Bunting left an indelible mark in the hearts of the victims' relatives, and in the minds of law enforcement officers. After his arrest, many scholars began to investigate his personality, trying to understand why he became a serial killer, and what exactly made him so. Research revealed that Bunting suffered from personality disorders that were the result of his traumatic childhood. This was not just a random criminal, but a person whose sick psyche caused terrible acts. The story of John Justin Bunting is a reminder that danger can lurk behind the mask of kindness. It's important to remember that each of us can have a different personality type living inside of us, and even someone who looks perfectly normal can have a dark side. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel for more mysterious stories from the dark side of human nature. See you soon.